Once you know better, you do better. We all do the best that we can with the tools that we have. Our job as human beings is to learn, to have that toolbox full of good tools so that you can do better. I had the Superwoman syndrome. But what that does is it makes you burn out. Unfortunately, it's not until you have failed that you realize that you should have asked for help.
Hi, I'm Maud Leger, and I'm on a mission to empower realtors with cutting-edge insights, success stories, and actionable strategies from the top minds in real estate. Welcome back to the Sold Right Away podcast. And in this series, we solve real estate marketing challenges in real time, unlocking modern marketing successes for the real estate industry. And that's why today I've brought on Marcy Estrada from Keller Williams. Marcy's been a realtor for over 20 years. She has experience as a business entrepreneur and also as a productivity coach. Marcy is here today to share her story with us and to tell us how she discovered her superpower. Hi, Marcy. Thanks for joining us again on the podcast. It's been a few years. I'm excited to touch base with you again. Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast.
Thank you for having me again.
So tell us a little bit about you again. You've been 20 years in the business. You came from a business background. Tell us how you started, how did you become a realtor, and your journey a little bit.
How I started? Oh my gosh. I started because I had 2 babies. I needed to get back to work. And before then, I used to work with the stock market. That was in Toronto. I did not want to be there. I wanted to be able to be with my kids, spend time with my kids, go on field trips. And I went to this seminar, like, do you have what it takes to be a realtor kind of thing. And I listened to these realtors and I thought, I can do that. But I thought, yeah, I can do it part-time because I have kids. I thought I could do it. So anyways, I was delusional. I started taking my real estate courses and I got my license. I remember being at the MTO renewal because I got my license on my birthday, on my actual birthday. I'm renewing my driver's license and I got a phone call from the office manager at the brokerage that I had decided to join. And she said, I have great news for you. I said, yeah. And she says, you got a number now. And I said, a number? And she says, yeah, you're a realtor now. And I said, that's great. Now what, right? And then I thought, that was the first time it dawned on me. And I thought, my job from this day on is to get up every morning and find somebody to employ me. And that was my thinking from the get-go. And I remember that same day, I picked up the real estate section of the Post and I started looking at all these realtors because you used to advertise in the paper. I went into complete panic mode and I thought, oh my God, like, how will I ever make a difference? How will I make a dent with all these realtors? Because I never really thought about it. And then I thought, okay, what's my natural gift? What's my natural ability? What's natural to me that I can work on? So I started emailing because email was a new thing at the time. So I started emailing, remember when people used to write on their Christmas cards their email address? So I started emailing people and asking people, because all I knew was moms, right? So I started asking people, like, when you first met me, like, what was it about me that first caught your eye, like that you noticed? And the overall consensus was, I felt like I could talk to you about anything. I feel so comfortable with you. You're so easygoing. And I thought, that's my gift. That's my natural gift. I'm just going to get better at that because that's what I do for people. That's what I'm going to work. So I decided to, if you want to call it, polish myself in that regard and be better at that. And honestly, that has been my success. I decided that I did my first deal about 3 days later. I did an open house for somebody and I sold somebody a house. And I remember at that time thinking, I want to be that realtor that other realtors want to do business with. I want to be that realtor that their clients always come back to because I led with integrity. And I said to myself from the very beginning, if I would not live in that house, why would I want to sell it to somebody? And that has been the way I've done it. And this is 21st year, and I have focused on personal growth and just growing, growing, growing. Because I really believe if you're not growing, you're dying, but you're not just sitting still. And, it's a tough business. It's not easy. Like we were talking just before the podcast started, it's not easy. And you have to always be learning and growing and making yourself better at whatever it is you want to do, whether it's marketing or lead generation, always being better. And that's what I've been focusing on. And it's worked for me.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you said like I feel a lot of your business background came into play when you decided to ask people what do they like about you, how do they relate to you, and then you did that, figuring it out. What is it? And it's to be pretty much be relatable,
Yeah.
and then be yourself. So technically, you said you wanted to be polished and being better, but being better at being yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Being personable, being there for your clients. And one of the other things I like that you mentioned is you didn't just think about business in terms of clients, you thought about other realtors. How can you deal with other realtors? And that's a big one.
That's a big one because you think about it, we always feel like we're being pulled in so many directions, right? Because we're dealing with lawyers, buyers, sellers, realtors, our client's family, extended family. It's such an intimate business that you can't just say, I'm going to treat it just like a business because it's so personal, right? And like if you ask all of my clients, they will all say, they all think that they're the only client I have. They do. They have no idea how busy I am. They have no idea what else is going on. Because when I'm with my clients, I'm present. I'm fully present with them. You don't see me on the phone, talking to other clients. I'm fully present. And sometimes I leave their house and I drive my car and I park around the corner and I'm answering all the messages. But that's what it's about, right? It's about giving people what they deserve, which is your time. Because your time, your attention, and your everything, because it's a big deal. They're buying or selling a house. It's a big deal. It's not like you're buying a sweater. They're buying a house. They're selling a house. It's very personal and it's a big deal to them. So it should be a big deal to me as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like how sometimes I ask people, like, what is your superpower? And I feel like for you, your superpower is to stop the time while you're with your clients. Like you're dealing with them in the present, like it's just stops everything else, all the busy, the noise with them.
The relationship, right? Because that's the reason they keep coming back, because they always say to me, we were so stressed out, Marcy, and you just made it look like it was not a big deal. You just kind of put it at ease and you made it look so simple. And I'm like, you have no idea how stressed I was.
Nice. So that's a true superpower then.
That's what has been my focus from the very beginning. And I've made it my business to feel how people are feeling and what kind of impact I'm having in their lives, because we do have an impact in their lives. We can make it very tough for them or we can make it very easy for them. And, life is hard enough. So I make it my job to make it as easy as possible for them. And so far, it's worked.
I love it. So what was a defining moment for you where you were in real estate, you did your first sale, you figured out what was going to be your point of marketing yourself? So what was a defining moment that you said, real estate is going to be my thing?
It was a young girl. My first sale was a young girl. She was buying I sold her a town. And the look in her face, I saw that look in her face. And I remembered when I signed the papers for our first house and thinking, oh my gosh, because first time buyers they all have the same look. It's that panic, that happy panic look, right? Because they're thinking about the mortgage, right? They're all thinking the same thing, like, oh my God, I just owe this much money. But honestly, like, they would have been paying rent anyways, but they all think the same, that they focus on the amount of mortgage that they have now, but at the same time, they're so excited, right? So it's that look. And I saw that look in that girl, and I remember thinking, this is where I want to be. I want to be with people. I want to make a difference in people's lives because it feels good. And I remember back then thinking to myself, who do I want to become? What do I want to do with my life? Because I think we all should ask ourselves that at some point. and hopefully earlier in our lives than later. Who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? And every time you're going to make a decision, every time I'm going to make a decision, I always think, is this in alignment with who I want to become? And if it's not in alignment with who you want to become, then that's the answer you shouldn't do. Because it's about growing all the time. I wanted to be a personal realtor. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be somebody. My parents brought me to this country when I was 17 years old. I didn't speak a word of English. Somebody asked me the other day, how long have you been in Canada? And I said, 40 winters. 40 winters. But you're coming to this country as somebody who doesn't know the language, who dresses different, who speaks different, who has different habits, different thinking, right? And to the land of opportunity. And you don't come here to just get here. You come here to do something. Otherwise, why did you come here?
To put your time in to get value and to offer value.
Right? And then you have to ask yourself, because I ask myself constantly, who am I at my best? And like, who are you at your best? And people don't ask that of themselves that question, but that's how you figure out your goals and what you want to do and where you want to go. Who are you at your best? And at my best, it's when I'm serving people, when I'm helping people, when I'm doing something good for people, when I'm growing. That's who I am at my best. When I'm contributing, because that puts me in a state of gratitude. And when you're in a state of gratitude goes from your mind to your heart, and everything just kind of settles, right? And life happens. And no matter what happens in your life, you always have to think, like, what's the gift in it? What's the gift? And if it wasn't such a great gift, you wouldn't be where you are now if you hadn't had that gift, right? So that's kind of how I go about it. That's how I live my life.
You talked about personal growth a lot, which is you're into the business, the coaching other realtors. What would be one valuable lesson that you have learned that you apply to your success?
One valuable lesson: don't take things personal, and don't be so scared to do things. Just do it. Just go for it. Because I find that when I was a productivity coach at my office, I found that sometimes they're so scared to do something because they're so scared to screw it up. Well, but if you never screw up, you never learn. And if you never screw up, you never grow. Think of when kids are little and they play soccer, for example, whatever, soccer, hockey, whatever you want to call it. You have a team that always wins. They're not learning anything.
You're not learning anything.
It's when you fail. It's when you lose. That's when you learn. And if you just become bitter about your losses in your life, then that's a totally different personality. My personality is, I want to look at my losses and where's the gift, right? Where's the gift? How can I grow from that? And to me, that has been a big lesson. Don't be scared. Just do it. And if you decide that was not the right thing to do, you were just on a detour. And then you get right back into it.
There's a lot in your personal growth to share, but how did your personal growth help you in your career in real estate?
It's been the pivotal factor in my career because who was it? It was Angela Mayer who said, once you know better, you do better. Once you know better, because she said, we all do the best that we can with the tools that we have. Our job as human beings is to learn, to have that toolbox full of good tools so that you can do better. Because once you know better, you do better, right? And for me, my personal growth that has never ended. I had a client one time who I think I sold him a house. He took me out for lunch, and he said to me, "What you go to school for?" And I said, "Well, I did this and then I did that." And then I almost felt embarrassed at one point. I thought, he's going to think I'm making this up. I think he's just sitting there. He looked at me and he said, "You have this insatiable need for learning. What is that?" And I thought, why is that? No one asked me that. I never asked myself that question before. And I actually didn't answer him because I didn't know what to say. But I thought about it for days. And then one day I realized it all comes from your upbringing, right? It comes from where you come from. My dad put it in our heads. You gotta learn. You have to learn. And I've never stopped learning. And it's taking me to places because you become more relatable to people, right? Because everybody's unique. That's why every transaction in real estate is so unique because circumstances are unique. People are unique. And if you grow as a person, you can identify with people without judgment. And that's what makes a difference. When you look at them and you say, I got you.
And I think too, what you mentioned is like open mind. Once you know better, you do better. And once you want to learn more to have better tools, means you have a more open mind, I guess.
Yeah. I was reading a book yesterday, and he said in the book, as we get older, people tend to close our brains a little more to growth and to new things. I thought, oh my gosh. Right away, I thought, what about those people who are young and close minded? But it's true. And I thought, you know what? That was like a moment for me when I do Audible. So usually when I get in my car, I put my book on. So I'm driving somewhere yesterday, and he said that in the book. He said, as people grow older, they close their minds. And I thought at that moment, oh my gosh, it's a wow moment for me, an aha moment to say, I always want to stay open-minded. I've always been a pretty open-minded person because you can't grow without being open-minded. And I thought, mental note, don't lose it.
Nurture that skills. Yeah. Nurture that ability or that want.
My father always said, education is never extra.
Yeah, true. Thinking about your business in real estate, what would you say is the key to your success?
The key to my success, I would say it is the fact that people feel that they can trust me. And I've proven myself time and time again that yes, they can. And like I said, that's why they keep coming back, because I always do what's good for them. I never sit down and say, how much commission am I making on this? Where am I at? I never think that way. I always think, oh my gosh, they're going to love this house. They're going to be so happy in this house because this is the right house for them. I would say that has been a big part of being successful, the fact that I always put them first. I never think of how that's going to change my life. I think of how that's going to make their lives better.
What is the most impactful thing that you have implemented in your business that brought you success?
The most impactful thing I've implemented in my business, I took a course. I was at a course years ago, and he talked about the different personality styles. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. And at that time, I became obsessed with it. I started really trying to figure out how I could figure out people very quickly, what their personality style was, so that I could think about it. We salespeople, we're chameleons, right? We have to adjust ourselves to our clients and the circumstances that we're dealing with. And I implemented that, and that literally changed my business.
Wow. Being a chameleon. I love it.
Imagine if you try to impose your personality on all your clients. That doesn't work.
No. A lot of people do, though, and that's those that are not successful as much.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. You have to adjust to them, to their circumstances, to their schedule, to what they want, what they need, right?
Yeah, you're sitting at the kitchen table with them, figuring it out, their plan or what their needs are, and you have to be absorbing all of their emotions.
And be respectful.
What would you say is your one non-negotiable in your business? Either a process or an activity or something that you do in your business?
Good question. Anything that compromises my integrity, non-negotiable. When I was coaching, I always said to the people that I was coaching, I will be behind you and I will support you all the way. But if I find out that you're doing something that compromises your integrity, I will be the first one to report you. But it's true because it's who you are when no one's looking that shows your integrity, right?
Yeah. Is can you put your head on the pillow at night and go to bed knowing that to the best of your ability, you did everything right?
Yeah. Like I have said to people, you shouldn't buy this house. Even if they love it, I'm like, you shouldn't buy this house because it has this and this and that. These are the reasons. And I show it because after seeing and selling so many houses, you know, right? You just know. You see things, right? You develop a picky eye and a feeling. So that's how I roll. When I was growing up, I was always told, make sure that you can sleep at night knowing that you always did the right thing. My grandmother always said that. And it stuck with me. You know what? I can walk outside, I can go to bed at night, and I know that when I gave up on something, I gave it my all. I know that when something didn't work, I gave it my all. And I did it from a good place. I did it from my heart. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. If it works, that's great. But always do it with integrity and give it your best, right?
Yeah. This is amazing advice. A lot of people need to hear that. Let's jump and talk about marketing a little bit. In terms of your business, what marketing have you done that worked really well for you throughout those years?
Honestly, it's always been a struggle for me. Because of my personality, I tend to start things and get excited about something and then I leave that and then I try something else. And so one thing I can say is it's very challenging to find good support in real estate. I think in any business, it's very challenging to find, but when you have support, it has to be somebody who is an extension of you. And I think your marketing people and systems have to be an extension of you. The challenge that I think all realtors who are successful experience is that we get so busy that we're like, for me, I'm always taking care of the client. And when I'm taking care of the client, which is always more than one at a time, what suffers is the marketing. I'll be showing houses and selling a house and doing an offer and getting an offer and doing whatever it is I need to do. I come home and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, do I really want to send that email, those emails? Do I really want to do that mail out? You know what? I'll do it tomorrow because I'm busy. But then I'm tired. And then the next day, like sometimes 9 in the morning and you're already really busy, right? So things just kind of fall through the cracks. So I think it's very important to, once you get to a certain point, to hire somebody to do things for you. I was at a conference, a business conference a few years ago, and he said, if you can find somebody who can do something 80% as good as you can, delegate it.
Yeah.
I have had to learn to not be such a control freak.
It's hard to let go of that 20%, huh?
So hard because I've always been one of those people that think that only I can do it as good as I can and nobody else can do it my way, right? And you have to let go and you have to let somebody do things for you. And you know what? If it screws up, it screws up and you just fix it. But don't get so fixated on the little things because, then you start majoring in minor things, right? Instead of looking at the big picture. But that has always been a challenge for me, finding good support and being consistent in doing, because everything in life happens slowly and then suddenly. Relationships fail and succeed slowly and then suddenly. Your business fails or succeeds slowly and then suddenly, right? It's true. So when you start doing marketing and you start doing something and then you don't have the consistency, usually you give it up when it's about to blossom, right? Yes. Because we get so busy doing other things.
What I see when you say that, I was a guy who's like digging in the mining, digging. He's just about to get to the gold and then he just gives up.
Yeah. So it's a tough lesson that I have had to learn in my years because when I first started in real estate, I had the superwoman syndrome, thinking that you can do it all. But what that does is it makes you burn out. That's what it does. Unfortunately, it's not until you have failed that you realize that you should have asked for help. You should have asked for the support and you didn't. And if you had just had that support, you would have gotten here, right? So it's a tough lesson to learn because I think as new realtors, we all think we're super people and you don't have the money.
True. It's scary to spend the money.
It is scary, but I learned to just put money aside. Use that for your marketing. Use that for, once you get it, pretend it's not there because you're going to use it for this. Allocate it, right?
Yeah.
Discipline is so important in this business, which is what makes it or breaks it, right?
I like that the challenge you mentioned is something all realtors go through, right? Finding good support and knowing what to look for too. Like there's so much marketing out there, there's so much business and noise about things you got to do as a realtor. How do you pick which one? Who do you trust that's going to do it your way at 80%?
Yeah, and knowing your weaknesses and your strengths too. Like I'm really good at engaging with people and making people feel comfortable, but I suck at paperwork. I don't like it. And everybody who knows me knows I don't like doing paperwork. So I find somebody to do it for me because it's not going to get done properly, or it will get done properly because I'm a perfectionist, but it will not get done on time. You leave it to me. And the same as marketing. When I first started with Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, I remember my son came home one time and he said, nothing like being in your math class and having your mother send you a message because she doesn't know what she's doing on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
But you cannot do it all. You have limits. Knowing your limits, I think that is so important in this business because you are great at what you do. You take realtors to another level. You are good at marketing. I'm not. So I go 1-800-MAUD, right? Know your strengths and know your weaknesses. That really is the secret of being successful. I mean, staging, for example. I took a staging course many years ago when staging was a new thing. I took a staging course, and you know what that made me realize? That I suck at it. I thought, this is not me. I found somebody to stage houses for me because it's not who I am. And I recognized that very quickly because trust me, you don't want me to stage your house. But I found somebody to do it. And the same as you design my business, you design my signs. Has tons of compliments over my business cards and my signs. That's what you do.
I have a rapid fire question, Ruth. So they're quick questions. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes they're longer answer, but it's fun. What is your number one business process that you can't live without?
I talk to at least 3 or 4 people every single day that I know just to find out how they're doing.
What is your best marketing strategy?
Personal touch, engagement, sitting down with somebody and saying, how are you? And I would say always do something for people without expecting anything in return. That's a big one for me. I help a lot of people. I do a lot of good things every single day. I don't let go one day of my life. I made a commitment years ago that I wasn't going to go one day of my life without doing something good for somebody. And I have lived it every single day for years. And when you do that, things just happen for you. But the kicker is you don't expect anything in return.
Integrity. Yeah. What is your best social media tactic?
I don't know if it works. What I do is I just got on TikTok. My daughter got me on TikTok. I attempt to make my social media not just about business, but to show them that I'm a human being too. You got to take your hat off, your salesperson hat off, and you're a human being, right?
Love it. What is your top income generating activity?
my personal relationships, talking to people, engaging people. I meet people and I just talk to them.
Love it. And then now with your productivity coach hat on, which non-income generating activities should every realtor stop doing?
I have seen many realtors sit at the computer looking at listings, pretending to be busy. It's very easy to pretend to be busy. And I remember I was brand new in the business and I was taking a course. And the instructor said, if you don't feel like working one day and you want to waste a day, don't sit at your computer pretending you're working and feeling guilty that you're pretending to work. Go out to the golf course, go to the mall, say, you know what? I don't feel like working today. I am going to go and have a good day without working today and enjoy it. But when you sit down and work, I've done it myself. And you sit there and you scroll through listings, pretending to be busy, pretending to work. Stop it.
Yes, love it. What is a key book or resource or author since you're into the personal growth?
Oh my gosh. I love Brené Brown. Love Brené Brown. I've read every single book. I watch her TED Talk. I follow her on Instagram. I follow her on Facebook. I love what she has to say. But you know what? I read a book. It was given to me by my coach a few years ago. Best book I've ever read in my entire life. And I've given it to so many people. It's called Einstein and the Rabbi by Naomi Levy. It's a true story, and it's all about showing up to life with soul. It's about the soul. Who are we? Who are we inside? And why are we the way we are? And I have read that book so many times. In fact, every time something is going on in my life, every time I'm feeling a little bit icky, I go back to that book. That book has helped me be a better human being in every sense. And it's all about showing up to life with your soul.
I'm going to look into it. I'm intrigued. Very intrigued. I'll let you know when I read it.
Yeah, send me a message.
What is a quote or sentence or phrase that keeps you motivated?
Who do I want to become? And is this in alignment with who I want to become? I always ask myself that question. And every single morning when I wake up, I write down, this is who I want to become. I literally write it down. I have my pink book. I write it down and I read it throughout the day. And sometimes if I don't feel like working, because we all do that, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I really don't feel like doing this. I look at it because you have to, because I always ask myself, who am I at my best? I am at my best when I'm independent, when I can give, because that's what makes me happy. When I have the resources to help people and to give and to do things, not just for me, for my kids, for my mom, for my people, Wow. That's when I'm at my best. So I write it and I keep saying it to myself time and time again, because that way I don't get sidetracked, because it's so easy to get sidetracked, right?
What advice would you have for realtors, like from a business perspective, from a real estate agent for 20 years, and from a coach? What do you have for advice for other realtors?
Make it your job to grow. Make it your job to learn. Make it your job to prospect. And every time somebody says no, say thank you, because every no gets you closer to a yes. Because you can only get so many no's before you get a yes. And rejection, who cares? You're not everybody's cup of tea.
Vice versa too, right? Not everybody's going to be a great fit for you. So,
and let go of those people that are just not your fit. It's hard, especially when you're a new realtor and you're trying to grab everybody that comes into your sphere, right? Because you think everybody's going to make a deal. Like, I'm going to sell anybody a house. It doesn't work that way. But you don't learn that until you've been burnt a few times in anything in your life. But if things are not good for you, it's hard to let go. As much as it sometimes you go, I've already spent so many hours with this person. I've shown them so many houses. I've done all this work. Maybe the next house, they'll buy the next house. No, they won't. Let them go. let them go and move on to the next one who is actually going to buy or sell a house very soon. Honestly, for me, I always try to do good things for people. Just don't expect anything in return, and life just happens for you.
This is such a great, inspiring way to live and to do business. Really love it. Thank you. Thank you, Marcy. This is so great. I'm so glad we were able to do this again, to catch up, to hear all of these learning moments that you've had, and to share it with other realtors too.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Sold Right Away. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you're ready to take your real estate career to the next level, visit us at Sold Right Away for more resources and support. Until next time, keep closing and keep growing.